couple of steps. X over x plus 1. All right. And then swap your x's and your y's, right? So you see an x, you write, well, I see a y, I write x. So x equals y divided by y plus 1. All right. Any questions on those first two steps? Any questions on swapping the x's and the y's? Everywhere you see x, you write y. Everywhere you see y, you write x. All right, so now we haven't seen a problem like this before. We have this division by y plus 1. Okay, we have division by y plus 1. How do we get rid of division? We multiply. So let's get rid of the division by y plus 1 by multiplying both sides by y plus 1. Multiply both sides by y plus 1. All right. What happens on the right-hand side when you multiply both sides by y plus 1? Y plus 1 divided by y plus 1 cancels. That's 1. And over here on the left side, we can distribute this. So it's going to be xy plus x equals y. xy plus x, right? We got the xy from x times y is xy. You could also write it as yx if you wanted to. Doesn't matter. And then x times 1 is x. So you get xy plus x equals y. Any questions on that multiplication step? In order to get rid of division by y plus 1, we multiply both sides of the equation by y plus 1. All right, we're doing okay? Now, we got to solve for y. We got to get the y all by itself on one side of the equation. So we need to make sure that the y's are all on one side. So this is where I want to make sure that you get the y's on one side. And then you got to get everything else. You know what? Get the y's on one side, and then all other terms, let's call them terms separated by plus or minus, to the other. Okay? I think this is worthwhile to write down. I think those steps are definitely worthwhile to write down. Because you're going, oh man, how do I? So we already have a y on the right side. Let's move the xy to the right side. How do we get rid of xy on the left side and move it to the right? We subtract xy. So we're left with x equals y minus xy. The xy minus xy cancels. Questions, comments, concerns? Now, if we have a y here and a y here, we could factor out a y. Factor out the y. Okay, this is a new solving technique that we can't do unless we know how to factor, right? We would never be able to do this if we didn't know how to factor. It's going to be x equals, they both share a y, so we take out the y, and we are left with y divided by y is 1. xy divided by y is x. All right, we're going to stop here and we're going to ask if there's any questions, because this is something definitely new in solving that we haven't done before. Very neat solving technique. It goes back to Mike's question, why do we factor? Now we can solve things we've never solved before. All right, so now, how do we, it's y times 1 minus x. How do we get rid of multiplication by 1 minus x? Divide. We divide. If it's multiplication, to get rid of it, you divide. So we're dividing both sides by 1 minus x. Divide by 1 minus x. These cancel. You're left with y equals x divided by 1 minus x. And you can write that in function notation with f to the negative 1 of x, which means the inverse function is equal to x divided by 1 minus x. These problems are multiple choice. These problems are multiple choice, so you just have to select the correct one. You don't have to worry about inputting that in.